WWE 2K25's Fearless DLC pack is finally here, and you guys already know the drill. That comes with a patch. Now, people have been waiting all morning, and it's finally here. DLC pack number 3 is actually pretty good from what I played so far. If you guys haven't watched that video, make sure you go watch that after this. Shout out to all the support from you guys, because without you guys, I'm not here. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe if you guys have been enjoying the content. We are on our way to 17,000 subscribers. We're trying to go on ahead and crack that 20K within the next few months, so make sure to stay tuned for that. Now, if we go on ahead and dive into these patch notes, the first thing we want to mention is that we will see it as patch 1.21 on the next gen versions of the console, such as Xbox Series X, PS5, but the Switch 2 will see it as patch 1.20, so it is essentially the same thing. The same changes that we're seeing on this console are the same changes that we are going to go on ahead and see on the Switch 2 as well. So this is something also to go on ahead and mention. Now we look at what's going on here. It's just stability and performance improvements, added support for the Fearless DLC pack, address reported concerns with hair shine value changing after being set, address reported issue with the Stay Fearless hat appearing corrupted, and gameplay and community creation. So let's just go back real quick to address reported concerns with hair shine value. So that has been a major issue. I am hoping for the people that do enjoy the creation suite that is fixed, because I've been seeing lots and lots and lots of complaints about, you know, this specific thing in the creation suite and the hat. I mean, if you guys watched the last video, we did talk about the hat making its way back in quietly into the game. So it is something worth mentioning, because the hat was corrupted in gameplay and it also wasn't in the creation suite. So I do think, you know, this is a relatively small patch. I know that we always expect, you know, something bigger, but I feel like those times, unfortunately, they are past us at this point. We're not really going to get that many big patches. It's just more stability and things like that. Now, while we do understand that the game does have, of course, its issues, this is what it is at this point, right? It's just what it is. And not to mention, they was probably trying to get that Switch 2 version as smooth as possible. Not to, you know, give it excuses, of course, but, you know, that Switch 2 version does run pretty smooth thus far. I'll give them credit for that. And it does look really good for the Switch 2. Now, obviously, you know, I wish that some things would look better on the Switch 2, but it does look like the hair is more demanding than we think. When you turn on the Switch 2 version and you look at the hair, it really doesn't look all that. There's no shine to it. It kind of just looks like it's there, right? And I know that I'm switching the ties a little bit onto the Switch 2, because there's just a lot to talk about with the Switch 2, man. It's the brand new shiny new thing where, you know, you can walk anywhere, go anywhere, and you can just turn on this game and have a really smooth gameplay experience, which I think is cool. So moving past all of that, let's go on ahead and get into the elephant in the room, my faction. Now, if you go into my faction right now, everything is pretty much 50% off in the card market. Now, this is something that was done about a year ago, so it is something that they like to do, and I'm actually okay with this. For example, John Cena goes for about 52,000 VC. That's still over $10 for a Persona card. You're probably spending around less than 20, maybe 15, 20 bucks. Again, though, it is much better than spending, you know, over 100,000 VC for the Persona card, right? So that's one thing that, you know, you will always want to point out and see, right? I don't know if people are okay with spending that instead of, you know, 100,000, which is now you're getting up and higher in the range. But I do think that it's cool that these discounts and things like that did end up getting in the game, and I'm hoping that they keep them for at least a couple days, give some people some time to catch up. But, you know, I do think that this is a good thing for the mode, but this is obviously a way to go on ahead and get people to bite and, you know, spend some money. Me personally, I will not be spending any money. I will be keeping my money to myself, just simply because my faction hasn't really demanded, or I haven't really been wanting to get on the game at this point, and it is what it is, bro. I'm not encouraging you guys to go and buy these cards, but if you are someone that was waiting for a flash sale or something of that nature, this is probably your best chance. Now, I remember this only happening about once last year, so it may not happen again. So if you are looking to catch up on level rewards, things like that, your best bet is to go on ahead and get that stuff now, because it is probably going to happen and it's not going to happen again. So that is one thing to keep in mind with that. If you guys are interested, make sure to go get that. If you are on the Switch 2 version, my faction has different tier packs releasing. I believe one for about $24 and one for close to $50. Can't remember the price off the top of my head, but shout out to the guys on X social media. It does seem that these packs will be able to catch you up on my faction if you decide to play on the Switch 2 version. So I think that's pretty solid from 2K. If you're somebody that's into card collecting and are new to the mode, you can just spend $24 and, you know, get caught up and get a couple nice cards and, you know, be able to get the live events done. So I think that that was a good thing done for the Switch 2 version, because you never know who actually wants to play these modes or whatnot. But I always wondered, okay, how are we going to catch these people up? We're almost halfway through the cycle, and these people are going to get the game and they're going to be behind and not have the cards. And they found a pretty simple fix. Now, $24, of course, that is kind of sucky in my opinion. I just think that, you know, spending money at this point is kind of like, I don't know, man. It's one of those things where I'm just like, I just don't know, because $130 if you did get the Bloodline edition to get everything, you know, that's definitely one thing to keep in mind with all that. I just want to see the game grow, succeed. You know what I'm saying? I always say it. I'm all for this project getting bigger and bigger and bigger. That's the only way that we're going to continue growing as a community and as a franchise. So I don't know, man. We'll have to see what happens, right? I'll have to get a little bit more feedback on the community. But nonetheless, though, guys, this is going to be it for today. It's going to be a short one. I'm going to go on ahead, probably be back tonight again, some sort of stress test for the Switch 2, but I am super excited to go on ahead and review this game on the Switch 2, as I think that my experience so far has been pretty smooth, but I still want to do a couple of things in the game before I'm able to, you know, put out a stress test and whatnot. And you guys already know we are getting a Switch 2 review at some point, so make sure to stay tuned for that as well. Nonetheless, though, guys, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. Make sure to stay tuned for the next one. I'm gonna catch y'all. Peace.